So today is December 11th, and I'm leaving Thousand Oaks on an appointment I had out here. And today I'm going to talk about the psychology community, my family, because they all have psychology degrees, and them using their leverage to control and dictate my life, using their packaged he could be a danger to himself or others. And on a non-serious note, you guys like my coffee cup? It is a old Canon lens. What is this one? It is a 24 to 105 millimeter Canon lens coffee cup. And I just thought that this was hysterical years ago when I bought it. Anyways, okay. So that is the 10 seconds of personal expression or humor of things I'm not allowed to do in life, which is very strange, or I'm somehow committing crimes and making people kill me by having fun, joking coffee cups, or sense of humor, or expression, or being happy, sad, in love and lust or whatever, are all crimes according to my family, police, government. Anyways, okay, so with their "you better be a perfect person or you're a dead man," so anyways, I'm going to talk about, well, I don't know where this conversation's going. I have some notes written down about the psychology community and their abuse and how they're using psychology to hunt down, torture, kill, control, cover up, you name it, with the judicial system and psychology community and my family. And I don't really have a documented outline here, so I'm going to start and I'm going to wing it. If I start getting quiet and not knowing what to talk about, I am then going to go to my notes and just start throwing things in that relate. But I will just start with this topic, the psychology community, and one being a danger to themselves or others, which is the only real thing they're allowed to report to the police, is if someone is in like immediate danger. Like if I'm planning to blow my brains out and I tell a shrink, then she's obligated to go to the police. If I tell a shrink I hate that guy, I'm going to kill him, she's obligated to go to the police. But other than that, if she gets like a bad vibe, like that guy's an asshole and he won't leave me alone, and she says, I think this guy's a violent, paranoid schizo, and he could hurt that guy, well, she's not really allowed to go to the police because she's just digging for anything she wants, right? Because once you start getting into the guidelines of people's opinions based on information that anyone can twist and contort into something else, it's really irrelevant information. Like if I go to a therapist and I say I don't like that guy, and I say people are trying to kill me, and she goes, well, I think this guy's a violent, paranoid schizo and he's going to hurt himself or others, well, that doesn't really fit into the guidelines of me confessing that I'm going to do something wrong. It fits into the guidelines of her putting pieces together and coming to a conclusion based on thin air and fantasy, right? And you could apply that with anything in life. Anything. I could be dating a girl and say, I don't like pizza, and she could say, well, this guy's a danger and he's going to kill women because he didn't like pizza, right? Well, you would say that you didn't say anything, she just inferred based on inanimate objects that something was going to happen, therefore saying I'm going to go do whatever, right? So my point is that you have to be realistic about situations where people are being accused of things, and miscommunications based on I like Ferraris somehow means I'm going to plow 100 people in my car, have no factual relevance, logical fact, or anything else. Hence the types of things we're seeing from my family or the psychology community, where they're just trying to get whatever they can based on thin air to rid me of the world. Now, why are they doing this? Well, it's about what I know. It's about information I know. It's about them not wanting me to talk and ending my life no matter what it takes, or silencing me no matter what it takes, killing me, locking me in jail, mental institutions, you name it, for the things I know that were done to me growing up, by my family, contacting the police and government, having them hunt me down. Now, why? Well, I can't tell you why they're doing it, but what I can tell you is the dynamics of the family. I have a father, like I mentioned before, that has no communication skills, with a mother and a brother, and to your face, they are very mafia. You're the best person. There's no problems. There's never been any problems with you. You're the greatest person known to man. But behind your back, it's he's a horrible monster that breathes fire, and he's like the Incredible Hulk. And when he gets angry, there's no telling what he'll do, and just making up whatever fantasy they want. But not to me. Nothing's ever said to me, right? To me, it's you're the best person known to man. Okay, well, there's a problem with that. There's a big problem with that. Because when you turn 29 and you find out there's a worldwide campaign to kill you or rid you of the world for reasons I can't comprehend, it's coming from nowhere, right? And behind my back, they're running around saying I'm the Antichrist, and to my face they're saying I'm the best person known to man. Right? And so there's a serious communication issue with that family and what they're capable of doing. Now, let's look at their background. I got a brother who's a urologist who likes to try to pop bladders, and he also has a secondary psychology degree, which fits the family template, using psychology as a weapon to hurt, harm, maim, torture, kill, exterminate, rid of the world, you name it, if he doesn't like you, right? I got a father, he is an orthopedic surgeon, and while supposedly wanting to help people, he also has a secondary psychology degree to identically do the same thing: hurt, harm, maim, torture, kill, rid people of the world he does not like, or are different, or whatever. Then I have a mother who is an art therapist, which hasn't really done much in life with that. But, you know, while trying to look important, using it to unethically analyze her child, and the first thing she did to me at a very young age is ask me to draw a tree, and me joking around because it sounded kind of funny and absurd to me to analyze a fucking tree, right? I mean, give me a break. You're gonna become super Freud here by having someone draw a tree and analyze an inanimate picture, with the interpretation of art is up to the viewer anyways. So I could draw a perfect tree, and you could say, well, in that tree the bark is a little crooked, therefore you like to chop people's heads off, right? Okay, so the interpretation of art is up to the viewer to put whatever meaning they have inside of them to the art. So really, how are you going to analyze a stupid drawing of a tree? Okay, so that's kind of why it seemed absurd to me. And I joked around with her and did like a dead leaf tree with a witcher's skull in the hole or something. Something harmless, right? I mean, there's no like decapitated, dead, bloody bodies with bullets and blood flowing or anything. Just a harmless tree that nobody would care less about, especially if they're sane and rational. Now, once again, my mother, using her psychology degree, like the rest of them, to hurt, harm, maim, control, torture, kill, dictate my life. Okay, so now remember that I am 46 years old. Everywhere I go worldwide, people want me dead and are trying to kill me with psychological warfare and mental illness operations. Based no reason at all, nothing. You farted wrong, you blinked wrong, you didn't hug a girl perfectly on a date. I don't know, right? Things you can't even imagine would be going on, and it all comes back to things like trust, right? I have a son, and he's out of control, at least in their minds, because they're control freaks. So when you're talking to a micromanaging control freak, everything's out of control to them. Does that make sense? If I tell you that you have to wake up at 6 a.m., at 6:10 you have to eat breakfast for 2 minutes, at 6:30 you have to comb your hair for 1 minute, someone who doesn't follow that insanely strict regiment is going to appear out of control to this psychotic Nazi type of personality control freak, right? So, what is my point? My point is you can't be in control with someone like that because their perception of control is unrealistic. Just like their perception of what life is, or what life should be based on some mathematical equation that they derived from in the 1940s when they were born, which doesn't even apply to 2018. For example, you shouldn't talk to people on the internet, and the internet isn't safe, is something that would have been said in 1994 when the internet first came around, not now in 2018, and you still wouldn't be hunted for talking to people on the internet. Or, more importantly, you wouldn't be hunted for the crime of being social on the internet in 1994 because your family didn't approve of it. Really is the point. So, you have the dynamics of this incredibly psychotic, paranoid psychotic, controlling, manipulating, demented family whose father, who none of them have communication skills, and my father tried to communicate with his dog Rhoda by putting a shock collar on it, and then putting a perimeter shock collar on it. But what about love and training? You know, example, I have a cat. My cat runs up to me and wants me to walk her around my little complex area outside, right? My cat understands the term no. For example, if she keeps running up to me and waking me up or clawing me to wake me up or something like that because she wants love and attention, and I say no, my cat, and remember, cats are a lot harder to train than dogs. My cat understands the word no. She understands affection. She understands things like that I'll take her for walks if she runs up to me, and little behaviorally hints to, example, she'll run up and she'll meow at me, and then I'll stand up and she'll walk to the door, letting me know that she wants me to take her out for a walk. Well, let me tell you, if I put shock collars on my cat, do you think she would behave like that, showing warmth, warmth, affection, communicating the best animals can communicate, and things like this, right? No. She would probably lash out in anger or whatever. Not that I'm saying that I'm lashing out in anger, because that's one of the cover-up operations. But my point is that that's how my father dealt with trying to have animals, and he went from one animal to the next, not being able to raise them because he couldn't understand things like communication. So he went through like dog after dog. Oh, this one's crazy, that one's crazy, all his dogs are crazy. Well, maybe it's not the dog that's crazy, maybe it's the crazy guy that put shock collars on his dog that's crazy, right? And for example, growing up in Hidden Hills, we had an English sheepdog named Maggie, and this dog had like an entire backyard with a swimming pool area to run around and be free in. And what does my father do? He puts this cage. Now, it wasn't the smallest cage, it was a fairly big sized cage, but still, you know, the dog so I'm looking at this parking lot, which is always 40% backwards, and right now it looks like almost all of it is parked normally and forwards. And the cops came down because the Hispanic girl at this French coffee shop here, where are we? Champagne French Bakery, was harassing me with mass groups because they didn't want me, like every coffee shop worldwide, getting coffee. And so security was harassing me, the cops were harassing me, you name it, for simply trying to get some coffee. But my point is that most of this lot, except right here, there's two cars backwards and an entire lot that's forward, in their pattern tactic. Anyways, I'm just kind of documenting it and recording it, so I can show the progression of cars changing 40% backwards to almost all forward, whatever. So my point was that he had this dog Maggie, this black and white English sheepdog, and Maggie was put in this cage in the backyard when the dog could have run around the entire pool area. Why? Why did my father even put the dog in the cage? I mean, these are things you don't really think about when you're a young child, like 10 years old or whatever, maybe 13, I'm not sure. But why did my father put this dog in a cage when it could have been running around the entire backyard? I can't think of any reason why there was a cage. It's not like we were in the backyard all day and night, 24/7. As a matter of fact, we were never in the backyard, right? Once in a while, maybe to go out swimming or something. So why wasn't this dog allowed, to roam around the backyard, right? I mean, this is a good question now that I'm older and looking back. Why couldn't this dog have that entire backyard to run around in? What's the reason? I mean, he's not doing anything. Or maybe, who knows, maybe he dug up a plant or something. But so what? Right? I mean, right? Okay, so why wouldn't that dog be allowed to run around the backyard? Doesn't make any sense other than he's just an animal abuser, right? Okay, or a hostile control freak. So this is important because you need to understand the type of person that does what they're doing to my life, right? Now how is he getting worldwide support to help him? That's the question. Okay, so where was I? So Maggie in the cage. Okay, so now Maggie, once in a while, would get out of her cage, and she'd start running around, and she'd get in the house maybe sometimes, and just run like crazy. Just like, I'm happy to be free, I'm running, right? You know, kind of like Forrest Gump, right? Like this dog gets out of this cage, and he's running around. He's running around the backyard, he's running in the house, and the only thing my father could say is the dog's crazy. Look at this dog, it's running around. It's happy and it's running around, right? Now, imagine you're in a cage for your whole life, and you get out. Wouldn't you be like, I gotta fucking run around and get some exercise and be free and do all these things, right? Isn't that normal behavior? People and animals generally aren't meant to be locked in cages, right? And so, what was my father's response? Oh, well, this dog's crazy. That was his response. The dog's crazy. Okay. Not the father who puts a dog in a cage for no reason, right? Not that there really is a good reason. He didn't do anything wrong. He's not crazy. The dog's crazy. The dog's crazy because it's happy to be out of the cage, right? And that is a perfect analogy to my life. We have a family, and they've spent my entire life trying to lock me in a cage, lock me in houses, lock me away from the world. They're beyond any level of angry and enraged at me for reasons like, you're not a doctor with a secondary psychology degree to hurt, harm, maim, torture, and kill people. You're the black sheep of the family. You're totally opposite. You're a good, loving, caring, accepting, open-minded person who dabbles in things that they can't deal with, whether it be porn stars, strippers. And here's a guy who sees me and he's parking backwards and has no plates. You get the idea. Right? So now you have this father and this family and father, and he doesn't see anything wrong with his behavior, right? Of locking dogs in cages and thinking they're crazy for being happy, of getting out of the cage, right? I mean, to me, that's pretty insane. That's absurd. Now, he's running around telling the world that I'm crazy, but yet, I would think the guy that puts animals and people in cages is crazy, whether that cage be a mental cage of psychological warfare, or a physical cage, which my family has pretty much done both to me, out of their anger that they didn't get what they wanted, right? Because what is this really about? It's not about anything I've done wrong. They had a child at 5 years old. They didn't like what they got, and they wanted to abort it, so to speak, to get rid of it. And so it's not really about anything that I've done wrong. Okay, so I got sidetracked. I know, story of my life. I'm trying to accomplish something or do something in life, and I met with 100,000 people per hour trying to have me killed since 5 years old. I mean, I know. Story of my life. Okay, so I wanted to video the parking lot I was in and the progression of changes from 40% of this huge, like 10,000 parking space lot backwards to almost maybe 5 to 10% now backwards, with tons of no plates and a guy showing up waiting for me in a car backwards, a red Jeep Cherokee. Okay, so I kind of lost where I was in the conversation. I was talking about my father, his dog Maggie, thinking that his dog Maggie is crazy because the dog is happy to be out of its cage for a short while, running around the house doing laps and things like this, is not crazy. It's a sign of expression or happiness. I'm out of this little cage. I want to be free, right? But my father and family can't comprehend this aspect of human behavior. That it's not okay to lock people and animals in cages. And it is okay to express yourself and be happy and fun-loving and giving, caring, and open-minded, right? And that was the point I was making about my family. Now, I wanted to give you those dynamics because those dynamics are extremely important to understand where this is all coming from, right? In order to understand the situation, you need to understand the dynamics behind the situation, right? There is no simple answer. Hey, Kevin, why is this happening? I don't know. I sucked on a lollipop for 10 seconds too long. Well, that's not going to explain anything, right? The only thing that is going to explain the situation is the dynamics behind the personalities of those launching these campaigns against me, being my family, working with the police, government, NSA, FBI, psychology community, but it has to start somewhere. It has to start with some kind of accusation, right? My son is crazy. My son is a violent, paranoid schizo. More importantly, we are dealing, this is the entire point that I've been trying to get to. They all have psychology degrees and are pitch things that my son is a danger to himself or others, right? Okay, so now these accusations with my family are all on the level of I have a psychology degree, my son is a danger to himself or others, I'm going to go to the police or government, right? Well, first, there's several problems with this. Not that that matters in my life. The first problem is that if a family member has a psychology degree and they go to the police saying, I feel my son is a danger to himself or others, they're unethically using their psychology degree because I'm not paying them for psychology appointments, right? So I'm totally out of control in the scope of whether I'm being analyzed or not with someone, some psychotic with a psychology degree, saying, I think you're a danger to yourself or others. Now, if you're asking me if I ran up to my family and said I'm going to kill my brother or I'm going to kill myself, well, none of that ever happened. Hence, what is their information coming from? Well, their information is coming from their cry wolf tactics, right? My brother told to make up lies that I tried to kill him with a steak knife while constantly provoking me endlessly to set me up. Or then they switch to manic depression or whatever, that I'm going to kill myself. Okay, but wait, is it depression that I'm going to kill myself? Or is it I'm a danger to other people? Well, in my family, the story changes on a daily basis. It goes from psychological label to criminal acts that don't exist to everything else, right? And it just keeps changing from one thing to the next. Okay, so, more importantly, normally, people's accusations don't keep changing, right? So now the question has to be asked, why this inconsistency? Why do their clinical labels and accusations of crimes change on a daily basis? Well, is it about that they really believe that I, tried to kill my brother with a steak knife or this or that? Or is it something or is it motive and agenda? Well, obviously, if they believe that I tried to kill my brother, then they're going to stick to that story, right? Hey, Kevin tried to kill Jason. There's a worldwide campaign to remove him from society because I tried to kill my brother, would be one of their arguments. But then it changes. Then it's he's a car thief. Then it's he drove Carissa Brands to committing suicide, trying to commit suicide, and her checking herself into a mental institution. Then it's Kevin did these things to Mike Cho. Then it's whatever. Kevin got into studio photography, and it's just so he can meet hot chicks and get laid, and he's a fraud, right? I mean, it just keeps changing on a daily basis, right? So, like I said before, if their accusation is that I tried to kill my brother or something, why is it then 100,000 other things, right? Showing what? Showing inconsistency and showing that to them it's about motive and agenda and nothing they say is true. Okay. Because they would stick to the accusation. And then once they stick to the accusation, you would have logical and factual evidence counter-arguing their logical and factual evidence to the situation, right? If you really believe that what's the word I'm looking for? If my family really believes that I'm such a bad person, and let's just use this one out of many accusations, I tried to kill my brother, which is a pathological liar, and has made claims that I tried to kill him by driving too fast with him in the car, okay, yeah, whatever, then if they really do believe that I did this, and this is such a horrific thing, then they're going to discuss it, and they're going to have facts to prove it or disprove it, right? It's not just going to pull something out of their ass and launch a worldwide campaign to kill me. Okay, so my point is that we're coming back to their behaviors and the why are they acting that way, right? Well, the why is to get what they want. And what is it they want? Kevin in a cage? A jail cell or mental institution? Or Kevin to blow his brains out? Or something on that level to remove me from the world. Now, back to the original why. Well, around 5 years old, like I said before, they didn't get what they wanted, and now they want an abortion after the fact, right? Okay, so I know that why isn't as simple and clean as most people would like it to be, but this is the way life works sometimes. There isn't always some simple black and white closure answer. Sometimes things are extremely complex, and in my case, they've redefined complex. They've redefined the definition of complex, being that there's about 3.54 billion people on this planet trying to have me killed. You get the idea. And I'm not told anything about what it's specifically about. You get the idea. It redefines what complex is, and so nobody's going to get some packaged closure answer on this situation. Okay, so I started off on the topic of the psychology using he's a danger to himself or others as a leverage tactic for my family and the police and government, which starts from my family and trickles to the psychology community, which trickles to the police, which then trickles to the FBI, then trickles to the NSA, constantly digging through my life, trying to get information, confessions, control, dictate who I like, what I do, what foods I eat, whether I can put salt on my food, what type of girl I can date, what type of hobbies I can have, you name it, everything that goes against the Constitution of the United States of America. and things like socialistic and capitalistic thought processes. Communistic, not capitalist. Communistic and socialistic thought processes that end up in murder when you don't do what they say. All for, I guess, control or whatever. Okay, so, and keep in mind that's pretty unheard of. So that being said, Kevin's a danger to himself or others, so that we, the psychology community, or family members with psychology degrees, can get what they want. Right? Kevin's a danger to himself or others. Okay. So now let's talk about my family dynamics growing up. And keep that hanging over your head. He's a danger to himself or others, and we're going to go to the police. Remember that. Kevin Perlman is a danger to himself or others, and we're going to the police. Okay, now we have a brother, a thugging, bullying brother. My entire childhood, he was a complete bully, right? Now, like everything else the world's been told, they've been told that I, the 2-year younger brother, Kevin Perlman was bullying Jason Perlman, and I made Jason Perlman act out in anger towards me to defend himself, is their argument. And when you watch movies like Jurassic World, or the remake of Vacation or whatever, their most recent Vacation, with Chevy Chase. Actually, he's kind of like, he was the main character in the original, but they brought him back in as the father, whatever. There's all sorts of tangents they're using in that media directed at me for like brainwashing or paranoid schizo tactics. While there were a lot of references about my life in the movie Jurassic World, they sort of portrayed the younger brother in control and bullying the older brother, and same with the movie Vacation, and that was actually part of those characteristics or personality traits were actually taken from my life, with some of the more obvious wordings and sayings that the actors were given to use out of my life, which are more obvious things, right? Which they do from thing to thing, which I've explained in a lot of my other videos, how they're working with the entertainment industry, and the things that were done to me. For example, Brian Longbotham hiring me to work at Pilots with Wes Craven, and the frame job operations. Brian Longbotham telling me to put clips of O.J. Simpson fleeing the scene spliced in for Wes Craven for some kind of prank he supposedly wanted to do, which turned out that Brian was framing me to piss off people in the entertainment industry. So if you're going to use the psychological label, the guy thinks that these things are in movies or media directed at him, they are, and some of the provoking factors are Brian Longbotham framing me with these people in the entertainment industry to piss them off, to turn them against me, right? Okay, so that's very important. I'm not some random guy just thinking that media is sending me hidden messages. Who's crazy? Okay, there are people pissed off at me and they want revenge for things I didn't do. That's the point. So, when you see these characters in like Jurassic World or the movie Vacation, the remake or whatever it is, they're portraying me as this thugging, bullying, genius kid, right? Well, that's not how it happened, okay? How it happened was I was the shy, quiet kid and a little puppy doggish, and my brother was told to keep provoking me over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and he kept running up, flicking me behind the head and the ear. He was a very thuggy, bullying personality. These situations are going on, you do what I say, you're not allowed to know what's going on. He would hold me underwater in the swimming pool as long as he could, which wasn't really the biggest deal in the world. And just all these things I'm stating aren't the biggest deal in the world. I'm just trying to make you understand that he was the dominant, aggressive, in charge, you do what we tell you, and I'm going to sit there, torture you, and terrorize you until the end of time. We're going to make our Psychos movie, and try to make you think that you're a psychopath. Now, like I said, these aren't the worst things in the world. But when someone keeps flicking you in the air, hitting you in the back of the head over and over until the end of time, and then doesn't expect to have a reaction, or runs around with the "you're not allowed to defend yourself" personality, why are they doing it, right? And I never thought about any of this. I never thought that my brother was a bad person. I never held grudges that my brother was some big bully growing up. Never even thought about it. I turned 29 and found out that he and his friends actually were hunting me down to put me in a mental institution, jail cell, or kill me, right? And so, now you have to question the reasoning. Kevin is a danger to himself or others, put on me at 5 years old. And remember some of my other segments, I talk about them using movies starting at 5 years old, like Wizards, who tried to figure out how to create street theater and make it look like I conform to movies. Okay? My point is that they're doing these things to get reactions. That's my point. They're sending me cryptic schizo reference messages to try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo. My brother keeps flicking me in the back of the ear over and 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 over. Sometimes hitting me in the back of the head, flicking me in the ear. He's thugging, he's bullying. Why? Because they want a reaction, the most subtle, insignificant reaction. Well, eventually, he got that one reaction of me doing the fake throw with the steak knife and it dropping to the ground to sort of defend myself and scare him off me. And my family was running around saying I'm not allowed to ever defend myself in any way, shape, or form, even verbally. Why? Why would you keep torturing someone, tell them to ignore it, and try to get those reactions and tell them that they're not allowed to react? Why? Well, we have a family running around using the leverage play of he's a danger to himself or others. Then you have a brother told to do these things. Then on top of that you have the cryptic media messages they're trying to send me to flip me out, right? Why? Because they want a reaction to make it look like I'm a danger to myself or others. Okay, that's starting at 5 years old and going to about 10 or up to 16. Now at 16, my brother and his friends flat out threatened my life after stopping my brother from bashing Greg Law's head in with a crowbar. Me and my friends are going to put you in a mental institution, so to speak, for saving my friend's life. Okay. All these things are on are a pattern of my family's behavior working with the police, right? My father with my brother taking me to the Bahamas cruise, with the Pearl Harbor schizo messages, while my brother goes out and buys me a Kershaw pocket knife, so that he can get a knife on me. Why? Because he wants a reaction. So that he can say what? Kevin is a danger to himself or others, right? Now this one behavior has been escalating since 5 years old, now on a global planet level, right? As you can see, I go to appointments, I go into parking lots. Parking lots now worldwide, or at least in the U.S., are 40% of the cars parked backwards. A good 40% people have no license plates. Cars backwards in pairs of twos. Identical cars in twos. People waiting for me with lights on. People who talk to me, almost every single one mimics things I say to other people on social networks. Every restaurant I go to or coffee shop, employees told to whistle at me, hinting I'm a whistleblower. Groups of people following me from place to place with clothing colors all at the same times, identical clothing colors. People doing things to me in patterns of twos all day and night. Why? Because they want reactions. Why? Because with the psychology community in my family's psychology degree, they can say if they get a reaction, Kevin's a danger to himself or others, and he's a violent paranoid schizo to cover up their mass crime spree against me. For the things that I found out, no. And remember, I didn't know any of this until 29. Met with Mike Huntley's death threats with the police. Okay, so, what was my point? What was I getting to? Oh, my point. The United States Constitution is about you are a free man until you do something wrong, and when you do something wrong, the punishment must fit the crime, and in order for you to be jailed or incarcerated for life, you have to do some horrific event, like hop in your car and plow people with it, right? I mean, or get an Uzi and blow away some people, right? I mean, real crimes, okay? So, if someone goes out and whatever, let's say they stole a car or something and they got convicted of Grand Theft Auto, the punishment would not be life in prison or the gas chamber. The punishment would be something a lot smaller because the punishment must fit the crime. Okay, so what's Kevin Perlman's crime? Up until 4 months ago, I had a spotless record on every level, but yet there's a worldwide campaign to kill me. Well, you can't say, I think Kevin committed a horrific crime, so we have a worldwide murder operation for justice. That doesn't make sense. That's what you call pre-crime. That's like, I think you did this, so I'm sentencing you. I think you're a bad person, so I'm sentencing you. Well, when does the sentencing start for me? 5 years old. So, what is this really about? It's not about anything I've ever done wrong. I've proven above and beyond 1,000,000 times over that I'm a great person. I have been the nicest person to everyone in my life, known to man. And so, what is it about? You can't say someone's a bad person who hasn't done anything. Just like I've had black people come up to me hinting that I might have some negative thoughts about the black community, therefore they're hunting me down to kill me. And this starts at 5 years old or 8 years old, after around 8 years old at Sunny Skies Day Camp, after kissing a black girl. And so it's, you kissed a black girl, we don't trust you, so you're a white supremacist and need to die. Doesn't make any sense, right? Same with the argument, even though you're the nicest person to everyone, including black people, I think that you might not like black people, therefore we're going to hunt you and kill you. Well, you know what? I have the God-given legal right to not like black people or any race or culture or person if I feel that that's how I want my personal judgments to be, right? So if I didn't like black people and that was something I just didn't like, and I was the nicest person known to man to black people and every other culture, I have that God-given right to not like whoever the fuck I like, whether it's a person, a group, or whatever. And if I don't like stink bugs, I have that right to not like stink bugs. Whatever. The point I'm making is, if I haven't done anything wrong, then there should be no reason why I'm being hunted and sentenced to worldwide murder operations. Right? That's my point. So, why are black communities following me saying, I think you might not like black people, so we're going to hunt you down? Well, they're doing it because they damn well know I have nothing against black people. They're just doing it to create justifications to get what they want. Right? That's the point. Okay. And me dead is what they want, which all link from back to childhood and my family's. I think he's a danger to himself or others. Okay, so now let's take the psychological thugging and them using the psychology community and those statements as weapons, right? Packaged weapons. Let's take one step back. We're going to take this out of the psychology community. What are we really talking about here? There's a word, and we all know it, and the word is called trust. Now, the Perlman family had a child. They do not trust him. Correct? And because they do not trust him, they're doing these horrific, insane, psychotic things to me. And when they do them, they're reeling in the police, then the government, FBI, NSA, you name it, with worldwide resources to hunt me down by wording things the way they want to stealthily word them, right? And using psychology jargon to get what they want and bringing people with authority in to contact people worldwide with an agenda. But if we step back to the basic layer, it's trust. They do not trust me. Kevin Perlman is 5 years old. He has done nothing wrong. He has been a really good kid. There is nothing I could have done wrong. In other words, to do something like this, which is being done to my life, I would have had at 5 years old, build an atomic bomb and blow up 100,000 people in a football stadium, right? None of this, no matter how much you spin it, is not justified. Even if I went out and killed someone, which we all know I haven't, this is still not justified, and there are actual people out there that have killed people, and this type of thing isn't being done to them, right? Okay, so what is my point? My point is that what's being done to my life is not only not justified, it's unheard of, and it's actually billions of government dollars invested in a kid who's been a really good kid, right? And I'm not going to tell you I'm perfect, no kid is, but what I am going to say is my family with the psychology community are trying to collect and archive imperfections and use them against me with the world to rid me of the world. Okay, but why? Trust. Okay, now, while trust in a family before 18 is clearly a lot different from trust from stranger to stranger, but there's still things that people need to understand. First of all, and I'm sure they do, but I'm going to explain it anyways. First of all, if you don't trust me, I don't owe you or anyone else trust. And everyone is going to agree with that statement. Some girl meets a guy and goes out on a first date. she has no reason to trust him. And if he demands, or vice versa, that you have to trust me or you're a bad person, that's a psychotic behavior. I have been met with that behavior my entire life. Example, Lorena Escobar, my father's office manager, mouthing off them, inviting me out to lunches, when after my father hired me with Lorena Escobar, before I understood that he was pretty much paying Lorena Escobar to have me killed, he would say, Kevin, do you want to go out to lunch with me? And Lorena at his office, and one of those lunches, on the way out, Lorena Escobar, in a semi-cryptically sarcastic way, said, well, maybe it's what you're doing in the privacy of your own home, or worded like maybe it's what people do in the privacy of their own home, in an angry comeback voice to the question I had asked or statement I had made, right? Letting me know that she's making judgments about my private life. Now after that, after her telling the entire office to take turns in an angry rage attacking me for years, I made a statement to her in the entire office stating that my private life is none of her business. Now she didn't like that statement, basically telling everyone that I have something to hide, for telling her to leave me the fuck alone, and my private life is none of her business, and we are in this office to work, not follow me from place to place, trying to get dirt on me, right? Now, what was her statement? Her statement basically was, my private life is none of her business. You don't need to know anything about my private life. To her, with her psychotic personality, being paid off to stalk and hunt me, was because you made a statement, you don't want me knowing about you, you're not trustworthy. Well, I don't need to be trustworthy on my personal level in respect to, they hired me to do a job, IT, and I did a very good job, above and beyond, and that should be the only focus. Now, it is a private company, and if they don't like me having a social life on social networks, or dating, whether it be a stripper, a porn star, a girl with tattoos, a girl with big silicone tits, whatever, if they don't approve of that, they have the right to fire me, even though it's semi-discriminatory. They do have the right to say, Kevin, we don't want you here because of your personal life. I'm not going to deny that. I was never fired until 14 years later, after they couldn't get rid of me and did horrific things to me with worldwide support, where my father just threw in the towel and gave up, trying to make it look like I did something wrong and I was on the run. Now, we're back to this trust thing. The only thing that they need to trust in that company is that A, I'm a good person, non-specifically, and B, if I'm doing a good job, and it's helping them make money. Now, yeah, they might be worried that I might have committed a crime or this and that, and they can do a background check and check me out, and that's fine. But to follow me around, you sat at a park longer than 10 minutes, or I don't like you going to coffee shops because you work at Golden State Sports Medical, is way the fuck out of the scope of what happens in companies, and that is company stalking operations. And more so, the reason this was being done wasn't about a company, it was about a family saying, we dictate your life with the government, okay? It had no correlation to the business, other than the business was used to get me close, to reel me in, for my father to ramp up his attacks on me and try to turn it around and say, look what my son's doing to me. But we're talking about trust, right? Well, if my father doesn't trust his younger son, starting at the age 5, is telling the entire planet that his son needs to be watched and he's a horrible monster, then why did he hire me? Why does he keep getting me closer and closer to him? Why did he call me up in college wanting me to move into his house for a year right when he was marrying Janet? He doesn't trust me. I'm a bad guy, right? Okay, well, it's the same argument. I don't owe my father, after 18, my trust on that level. And I don't owe Lorena Escobar trust. And I don't owe anyone else on that level trust. And if these people who I've never even met don't trust me, then they need to stay away from me. I mean, you don't go out saying, oh, you see that guy over there? I don't trust him, so let's go out, get food, hang out, become friends because I don't trust you, is insane. That's just psychotic behavior that rarely happens. That has been done to me my entire life. Okay, so my point is, if you don't trust me, stay away from me, and that's fine. But if you don't trust me, you're going to hunt me down and kill me and say that I have to be a good person so that you can trust me, and if I don't, you're going to kill me. Well, that's insane, right? Because usually someone that doesn't trust you, it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse the more you're around them, right? If you're a good person and that person doesn't trust you, the more you're around them, the less they're going to trust you, because they already don't trust you, and they're going to prove to themselves that you're a horrible person no matter how good you are, right? Now, being that I go from one person sequentially after the next, told to exert the same packaged behavior, that's where things really get strange, okay? But it's always the same thing. I have to show the world, I have to show my family that I'm a good, decent, wholesome, religious, praying man, and marry a good Jewish girl who fits the guidelines of what my family wants to dictate for me, except where we have the police, NSA, FBI, and worldwide support to kill me over this. Doesn't really make much sense. Why does Joe Blow in Wisconsin, who I've never met or spoke to, care if I date a stripper, if I become a studio photographer taking pictures of good-looking women, if I join a monastery, if I become a lawyer or an accountant or a mechanic? Why the fuck would that person care? How would they know me? And then say that I have to do what he and everyone else on the planet wants, or they're going to kill me, to prove to them or to make them happy, is unheard of. That's not how life or human behavior works. Human behavior works, if I like you, I want to be around you. If I don't like you, I'm going to stay away from you. If you go to a coffee shop and I don't like you, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to mind my own business, whether they like me or not. And to watch worldwide groups hunt me down at every location worldwide with these same packaged arguments don't make any sense. Showing what? Showing a mass conspiracy with packaged behaviors to try to drive someone insane, to get what someone wants. Now, back to what is it they want? They want to create so much friction in my life to snap me and get these reactions. And what do they want? They want violent reactions. And why do they want violent reactions? Because they've thrown that label on me that I'm a danger to myself or others. But, once again, if you're a danger to yourself or others, you don't have to provoke someone. Because if you're a danger to yourself or others, you're just going to go off on people randomly, right? That's the entire point. So, you got a guy at 5 years old, the family's saying he's a violent, paranoid schizo and a danger to himself or or others with the police and government. Why? Well, let's for now say control reasons. And I'm in a older coffee bean place where I've been harassed at every other coffee shop worldwide. I've probably got hundreds of these photos today alone, just going to Thousand Oaks. But I'm taking pictures of 2 white cars with no plates on them parked together, in their patterns of 2 tactics, and also videoing it on my DVR and all that. Here are 2 more cars together, in 2s, no plates. Here's another car with no plates. So, okay, I got sidetracked doing some videos of these pattern stalking tactics, and so I lost my place. And I was talking about, hopefully I can get back onto what I was talking about, because it's been like over 40 minutes. And the discussion I was having was pretty much trust, and how their entire argument is that if someone doesn't trust me, then it's my fault and I'm the bad guy, right? And the entire point was, people don't act that way. Hey, you need to be a good person, and if you're not trustable, we're going to follow you around, stalk you, we're watching you, blah, 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 blah. And that's not how it normally works. Even with the police. How it normally works is, if you don't like me or you don't trust me, or this applies to everyone, then you don't owe anyone anything. If you don't trust someone, you stay away from them. That's the point. And for the cops to run around my entire life with my family, going, well, Kevin's not a trustable guy, so we're watching everything he's doing with NSA, FBI, billions of government dollars, and a whole nother layer in between that of continual provoking, set up frame job operations to rid me of the world, right? Then, not only does that not have anything to do with trust, it has to do with the opposite. Well, you're trustable and we're going to ruin that for you, right? The point is that they're trying to create these situations where they brainwash me and go, well, you know, you're not a trustable person, so there's a worldwide campaign to kill you. Okay, well, that doesn't make any sense, right? If I'm not trustable, then the world wouldn't care about me, right? They go, oh, Kevin Perlman, I don't trust him, so who cares? I don't trust him, I don't know who he is, he means nothing to me. But if I'm running around, or if people are running around following me from place to place, we're watching you and you don't talk, then what is the reasoning? Well, it comes back to that leverage. The psychology community, you're a danger to yourself or others, so we're watching you. And at the same time, we're going to try to torture you into reactions to use against you to lock you away. Okay, well, the problem with that is that now we've gone from I don't trust you to I'm going to rid you of the world, right? So now, what is their reasoning? Well, maybe their reasoning is because I don't trust you and I think you're a bad person, we're going to rid you of the world. Okay, well, but that's a vigilante. I don't like you, I'm going to kill you. Or a psychotic murderer for that much, right? I don't like you, you're not trustable, you're a bad person, we're going to get together and kill you. Okay, but none of what I'm talking about has to do with the judicial system, right? And more importantly, than that, it's stalking and murder operations. But this is coming from a family that pitches weird shit like, I just want you to have a normal life, or not normal, that's not the word. I want you to have a good life, or when my family speak, they speak cryptically, so it doesn't make sense. But they'll say something like, I just want you to have a good life, but their perception of a good life is kind of like the dog in the cage, or the movie Carrie, where the mother is locking the girl in the closet, or maybe for my mother, it's locking her son in mental institutions, or jail cells, saying, there, now you have a good life now. Don't you feel better and don't you feel great, right? Well, it doesn't make much sense because we're talking about psychotics, right? Paranoid psychotics. And So it all comes back to that trust and you do what we say, right? And if you don't do what we say, we're going to try to make you look like you're a danger to yourself or others. So that's the problem. Is that for some reason everyone's getting together helping them. So now I've totally lost topic because I got sidetracked videoing some of these mass stalking groups. Let me look at my notes because I can't think of what I should be talking about here on the psychological warfare and using he's a danger to himself or others, but obviously the reason it's being said is to set me up to try to make me look like I'm a danger to myself or others, because that is the only way you can really remove someone from society, is trying to make them look like they have a violent pattern of behavior to rid them of the world. Hence what my brother was told to do to me as a young child, and what we're now witnessing worldwide is these operations to remove me from society with all day and night, 24/7 worldwide psychological warfare and schizophrenia attacks to try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo to rid me of the world. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is my last therapist, Christina Vescovo, trying to force me into therapy. I'm just doing my diary, man. Now let's go. Christina Vescovo was my last therapist, and extremely abusive and playing these stupid games like the rest of them. I don't know you crap, right? And for control reasons and to try to provoke me into situations. So like, for example, if you're known worldwide and each person says I don't know you, all sending you hinting messages they know you and provoking you over and over, obviously that's something that's going to completely irk and piss someone off, while they try to find the most passive-aggressive terror tactics to remove me from society, right? Working every psychological angle, torture angle known to man. Okay, now, one of the things she did, she did all sorts of shit, right? But she wouldn't let me talk about my life. She'd cut me off mid-sentence, just throw out stupid shit like, people taking responsibility for their life, like, okay, wait a minute, you're a psychologist, right, in the psychology community, and you're telling someone that, who's going to you for help, you're telling them to pull together, don't talk about their problems, and go out and live their life, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, isn't the job of a psychologist to tell you that they're there for you and they want to let you talk about your problems and deal with your problems and this and that, blah, 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 right? Not to tell you that you're not allowed to talk about your problems, or psychologists wouldn't exist. It's like saying go to a car mechanic when he doesn't fix your car. He tells you to get some balls and buy a $500,000 Lamborghini, right? And you say, well, I brought my car to you because I can't afford a Lamborghini and I just need the stupid thing fixed and it's a done deal. It's not a big deal, right? End of story. Okay, so why would she and every other one say you're not allowed to talk about your life? Well, that's obvious. The things they're involved in doing, they don't want me talking. They want to cover up the crime. They don't want anyone sued. They want to look like I'm a crazy guy and they didn't do anything wrong. Okay. So one of her things was to, she says, well, you know, meet me at Cross Creek, down in Malibu, which she supposedly lives in Malibu, but I can tell you this person looks like they never really worked a real job a day in their life. Looks like she is married or has some rich boyfriend that lives down in Malibu. Has no concept of anything, like complete spoiled brat, right? But, you know, she went to college and took some psychology classes and got a psychology degree. Whatever. So she's not really, she's just some person that wanted to do something with her life, but doesn't really care about actually doing it. She just wants to look important, right? No substance behind it. But really there's that other layer of we just don't want you talking and we're going to do whatever it takes to stop you from talking. So one of the things that she did was to say, okay, Kevin, you know, I tell her about the things being done to me, even though I know she already knows it, but she'll never admit it. And she says, okay, well, I want to see this. Meet me at Cross Creek, Malibu, which is the same shopping center where Brian Longbotham was framing me with Martin Sheen and Tia Leone in their little paparazzi tactics. And Brian Longbotham said, let's go down to Starbucks and play paparazzi. And then this is the same cat that hired me for Universal Studio jobs, so he was framing me, just like the Wes Craven thing. And he said, okay, take a picture of Tia Leone, and then take a picture of Martin Sheen, and whoop-de-doo, no big deal, right? Well, after that, worldwide, everyone was told that I'm a paparazzi and harassing people in the entertainment industry, and even Christina Vescovo wanting to meet at this shopping center. And then she says, meet me out in front of Marmalades. And then she gets there, she says, I'm hungry, let's get some food. While people in Marmalades were whistling at me and harassing gestures and sayings with the employees, trying to get these reactions. I would tell her, look, you know, like I told you, this employee is whistling at me. And, of course, the guy keeps whistling for like an hour as we're there. And, of course, her response, like everyone else, is just ignore it. Well, you know, one whistling person, not only would you ignore it, but you probably wouldn't even pay attention or care. But because it's almost at every restaurant worldwide, every coffee shop worldwide, person after person, all day and night whistling. When I was 29, it was something like 10 to 50 people per day wherever I went worldwide whistling at me to try to, once again, get those angry reactions to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo, right? With the psychology community. Why? Well, obviously, it's not for me. They want to remove me from society for what I know. At the same time, in the restaurant, there's several things with the restaurant. One is my father taking me to restaurants with Lorena Escobar, having them attack me at every restaurant worldwide. And I had a segment on the steak knife tactic where my father kept taking me to steak restaurants and having him provoke me in hopes that he could get me to go after someone with a steak knife to try to cover up what Jason was doing when I was a young kid, right? That's one thing. So we're at the restaurant, they're provoking me. She says just ignore it. Like accept being attacked and provoked endlessly until you're dead and gone or something bad happens, right? Now the second thing she says is she talks about my photography and my camera, and she says, you know, why don't you go out and take pictures of things you like, don't take pictures of people you hate. Okay, well, once again, the statement, I'm taking pictures of people I hate, why? Because they're cover-up operations for my family not wanting me to get into studio photography and things like that. So I was attacked. People would want to do photo shoots with me, to take turns on me in their anger and rage, to try to set me up, right? And then, of course, her turning it around. I've taken a picture of a couple of actors, which the world is told that I'm a paparazzi, right? And need to be hunted and killed over. Okay, well, the first thing is there are paparazzis, and tons of them, and they're not being hunted and killed, right? I've never heard someone say you're a paparazzi and there's a worldwide campaign telling you you're not allowed to be into photography, right? Things like that. Second of all, taking a picture of a public actor in a public location is not the same thing as like following people and doing this and that, whatever, and only a one-time deal, right? And so you get the idea. Sorry, there's a car here, and he just keeps backing up into me, and then there's a car behind me, right? And he's hard to see, and you're trying to let this guy get this guy out of your way, and that guy's pissed. But anyways, and Officer Dincy would say I just committed a road rage crime. I need to be hunted and killed. My point is that, sorry, this is a high level of people in this lot doing these psychological warfare tactics. Anyway, so she's trying to turn it around on me, that I'm doing things to people with my camera in anger and rage by documenting mass stalkings to hunt me down and rid me of the world with now worldwide support, and like everything else, it's my fault these mass groups are hunting me. So think of the thought process here, which is obviously fake. I'm making the world hunt me down and kill me because I'm not trustable, but I'm not allowed to know how the world remotely knows who I am, right? Doesn't make much sense other than we're going to rid you of the world and tell you stupid shit to make you think that it's okay. The next thing, what was my original paparazzi? Oh, okay. So why are they doing that? Well, they're doing it because my family didn't want me getting into photography, and as punishment, they're going to stop me from ever getting into photography. But of course, they jump from thing to thing. They're also mad at me for playing pool. They're mad at me for dating women they don't like. They're mad at me for building cars when I was 16, or whatever. It just goes from thing to thing, which doesn't make any sense, right? And they try to pitch it. Well, you built adult websites and adult website systems, so that's shady and you're not trustable, right? Then it jumps from thing to thing. But then where it doesn't make sense is if their argument is that I'm shady, right? I'm shady. I'm shady and like right there was a girl, why are you taking pictures of cars? And it was a girl that parked her car backwards wearing a pink shirt, like the shirt says pink on it, and that's one of the tactics. So the girl that's stalking me and knows what I'm doing is asking me why I'm taking pictures of cars. Now, what do you think her response is going to be when I tell her I'm documenting these mass stalking groups, right? She's going to say, who knows, whatever, you're a pervert and you do what I say, or this or that, right? Because, why? Because she doesn't want me documenting the crimes against me. And this happens over and over, right? Why would some girl care that I'm taking pictures of cars? Well, some of them might be intrigued, but every single time, there's always some kind of response about how I've done something wrong. Like right here, we have 2 cars, no plates together, which I've taken pictures of probably like 20 or 30 of those today alone. And so, oh, and of course, she starts texting after she says that. Now what she's doing is she's texting max groups to follow me in larger and larger groups to punish me for documenting these mass crimes against me in these mass stalking groups. Okay, so the next thing I was going to get to is the other thing Christina said was the other thing Christina said, which I mentioned, is to ignore it. Okay, and my attorney Seymour Amster also says the same thing, which doesn't make any sense, right? So, for example, remember, the whole argument is you're a danger to yourself or others, you're a ticking time bomb, you're a violent paranoid schizo, everyone's in danger of you, blah, blah, blah. Yet I proved beyond any level of reasonable doubt that I'm like the Hulk minus a million, right? I'm like the opposite of the Incredible Hulk, because I've exerted that I can do pretty much the impossible and not react in unheard of, worldwide, unimaginable torture to hunt someone down and kill them with psychological warfare tactics, meaning that their arguments are all bunk to begin with, right? I mean, that's what that means. And so, right? So if you've proven 1 billion times over that you're not a violent person and that you can withstand horrific torture against you, right? The reasoning is they want to rid you of the world no matter what, no matter how good of a person you are. Okay, that's the entire reasoning. Now, I want to break down that statement, though, which is ignore it. Okay, now remember, we have a brother told at a very young age to work on me, keep flicking me in the ears and hitting me and doing these things and bullying. Not the worst bullying ever, but enough to try to get reactions and never ending, right? Like, just keep flicking you in the back of the ear. Well, anyone knows that someone that follows you from behind and keeps flicking you in the back of the ear is beyond any level of annoying, right? They just keep running up behind you and flicking you in the ear or hitting you in the back of the head, and I'm not talking like concussion level hitting, but I'm talking just provoking behaviors that he is literally told that he's allowed to do, right? So why is he told that he's allowed to do this, right? Why am I not allowed to tell my parents, hey, mommy, Jason keeps hitting me, whatever, right? Because we're young kids. Who would care anyways? Why would I not be allowed to tell anyone that? Okay. So, the reason always comes down to the same thing. They want reactions. Okay? And I've explained the why they want the reaction. To say I'm a violent paranoid schizo, to lock me away, So much so that they got desperate and falsified these convictions, and the police wrote up falsified statements in discovery with jury-tampered juries of misdemeanor charges of things that first of all, my lawyer, Seymour Amster, could have easily won the case, but he intentionally lost it, screwing me over by leaving out everything important and refusing to bring in circumstantial evidence showing I'm not some crazy conspiracy theorist, while the world is being told that, and the prosecutor is working all sorts of angles on my credibility. That's one reason. The next reason is where was I? The next reason is that Seymour or whatever. I'm on to ignore it, right? So what is the reason? So Seymour tells me I should ignore this constant provoking. These people stalking me all day and night, 24/7, right? But what I do is I go out and I document it. I make sure people know what's going on, and they get angry and angrier. Because why? Because I'm supposed to ignore being hunted and killed, right? That's their argument. We're going to hunt you and kill you. Just ignore it. We're going to rid you of the world. Just ignore it. Okay, well, nobody would tell you that, right? Nobody would ever tell you that there are worldwide groups hunting you. Just ignore it, right? Just like my father told me, you're not allowed to defend yourself. So, you're not allowed to defend yourself on any level, even tell someone what's going on. And if people are actually trying to kill you physically on any level, physically, mentally, it doesn't matter. Pain is pain, and killing someone is killing someone. You just have to accept being hunted and killed, and so just ignore it until you're dead and gone. I've had all sorts of freaky speeches from people in the psychology community telling me that that like people in Holocausts and that were in concentration camps couldn't control their surroundings, so they just have to accept their fate, and just things that don't make any rational sense, right? Or these weird psychological bullshit, how you can't control your surroundings, so accept it, right? Well, if your surroundings are a worldwide campaign to kill you, how could you accept that? If you're in a concentration camp, you accept what you need to accept to stay alive and breathing, but you don't accept it. You do what it takes to survive. And more importantly, let's use a better analogy. Let's say you have a hurricane, right, coming your way. According to these bunk psychologists, you need to just accept your fate. A hurricane is coming towards you in your house. You need to accept your fate, right? Well, no. Because why? What's their reasoning that doesn't make any sense? They're out of context reasoning. Because the hurricane, you can't control your surroundings, therefore you accept being plowed by a hurricane. Well, no, that's not what you do. What you do is, it's called the preservation of man, and the whole concept of human behavior, or the preservation of man, is to stay alive and breathing no matter what, because that's how we were built. To stay alive and breathing. So if a hurricane is coming for you, you don't sit there with your thumb up your ass, going, I'm going to accept dying and stand in front of it. You get down in shelter, you pad your windows. I don't live in hurricane or tornado area, so I can't really tell you. But you go buy your hurricane-proof windows or whatever the hell they do, and you get in your little hurricane basement if you have one, right? You don't sit there and go, I can't control my surroundings, so I'm just gonna die and not do a thing, right? So why are these people in the psychology community like Christina Vescovo telling me this? Well, they're telling me it because they don't want me to stand up for myself. They don't want me to think for myself, or me to have freedoms or constitutional rights, which I was promised being born in the United States, which everyone supposedly has, but we've now shown that the Constitution of the United States is equivalent to toilet paper. It's completely pointless. But more important, I'm the example of what Edward Snowden came forward about. I am living proof of what happens. And so, okay, so I wanted you to understand the whole concept. Oh, I haven't finished explaining. Okay, so now, why would they tell me just ignore it, right? Okay, let me explain this to you. Normally, if someone keeps provoking you, or you have high anxiety, whatever, I don't want to use anxiety because that's stupid. If someone keeps giving you dead arms, it creates anxiety, right? If someone keeps giving you dead arms, won't stop, what are you going to do? Well, first you're going to say, look, stop. Then you're going to say, leave me alone. Then you're going to say, you need to stop. Then you're going to say, get away from me. Then you're going to say this. Then you're going to say that. Now, if this guy is still giving you dead arms and refuses to stop, and I'm talking like not one time I'm joking around with you thing, I'm talking like never ending, I'll never stop, then eventually you are going to react, because that is human genetics and human nature. Humans do not like pain, whether it's physical or mental, and they will do whatever it takes to stop it, correct? That is human nature. That is how every single one of us is built, right? To stop the pain so that we can go live our lives. Okay, so now, what's going to happen is someone's going to keep provoking you, and you're going to finally say, look, stop, and you're going to react. Okay, so, and that's going to happen no matter what and no matter who you are. I don't care who you are. You're going to feel enough pain, you're going to say stop. Okay, so, now remember, the argument from these people is that we aren't stopping. You better accept this. This is the rest of your life, right? It is what it is. We're not going to stop. You better accept it. No relaxing for you, nigger. Endless death threats like that. And so, they're not going to stop. That's the first part of the equation, right? We're going to keep attacking you. We're going to keep provoking you. We're never going to stop. Okay. So now you understand the situation. You have a group of people who are going to endlessly provoke and attack you with passive-aggressive terror tactics and worldwide support. They're not going to stop. Okay. Now you have the attorney who you have paid to be on your side. He's not going to stop. Or, sorry, he refuses to help you, and is part of this corrupt judicial system and worldwide groups trying to have you killed. He doesn't see anything wrong, at least so he says, with endlessly attacking you until you're dead and gone. Right? Okay. Well, first of all, you know the attorney lost intentionally, and he's giving you disinformation to set you up. Because why? Because they want the reaction, right? And if they can get the reaction, they can keep making up lies. This guy keeps attacking people for no reason, and he's crazy because the attacks are all subtle and passive-aggressive attacks, even though the entire planet knows what's going on, right? Okay, now, getting to the point. Guy keeps giving you dead arms. Now you're told to ignore it, like psychologist Christina Vescovo, who's supposedly supposed to help you, and your defense attorney, which is supposed to help you, especially when you've given him a shitload of money, but no matter how much money you give him, he wants you dead and gone. Right? Okay. So, if I keep punching you like this and never stop, and you keep running away from me, you keep hiding, you keep trying to lock yourself away, they keep getting into where you're locking yourself away, you name it, and they keep punching you, whether it's physical or mental, it's the same pain, it doesn't matter, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen when you break, right? So, for example, normally you're going to react instantly or within a short period of time, saying, stop, leave me alone, enough's enough. And if he keeps punching you, you're going to probably punch him back, right? That's how the humans work. Defending yourself. Remember, my father and Mike Huntley said, I'm not allowed to defend myself. By punching me, by mentally punching me over and over, or when I was younger, my brother endlessly flicking me in the ear, they're setting me up for a reaction because they refuse to stop. And now we're looking at 100,000 to 1 million provokings per day worldwide, where people are like, well, you need to be strong and accept it. Well, why do I need to accept being hunted, killed, and tortured to death? That's bullshit, right? I need to focus energy on important things like friends, family, jobs, and having something out of life, and not fighting off people trying to torture and kill me my whole life. There's no reason for it other than we don't like you and we're going to torture and kill you. So, what is the reasoning? I'm not going to stop. And we're not going to stop, and you need to ignore it. Okay, well, you're going to sit there and you're going to try to ignore it, right? And you're going to sit there and you're going to hold back. I need to ignore it. 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 Now, eventually you're going to break, right? There's going to be a breaking point, correct? Because you can't. If someone punches you 1,000 times a day, every single day of your life, saying it is what it is and no relaxing for you, nigger, you're going to react, correct? Isn't that the case? I mean, you're going to react. There is no doubt about it. You're going to react eventually. No human being can sustain it. And so, hold on, this is one of their wait on the side of the road with your lights on type. Okay, so, no human being can sustain, and eventually you're going to break because that's how humans are built. They don't like pain. Okay, so, remember, we got a person in the psychology community doing the same thing as everyone else, saying, accept being tortured and killed, or something really bad happening to you, right? And we have my own attorney, who damn well knows I'm innocent because he's lying. If he thought I was guilty, he would still be obligated to give me a fair trial. But he wants me dead and gone, helping them because I can't tell you why. Maybe it's pure pressure and he wants to feel important amongst his judicial friends who are douchebags, murdering douchebags. I can't tell you. But people that normally would help everyone else in life are refusing to help me, and that's almost everyone on the planet. But they're all giving the package response. Ignore it. Okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to hunt you. Okay, so, like I said, what is the reasoning? You're sitting there, you're holding back, you're holding back, you're holding back, you're holding back, you're holding back. A month goes by, a year goes back. I'm not going to react. I'm going to ignore it. I'm holding back, I'm holding back, I'm holding back, I'm holding back. And finally, bam, you snap, right? Boom. Something really bad happens, right? Okay. Now, I've just given you the answer behind Christina Vescovo and Seymour Amster's statements of why this is happening. It's happening because it's a setup to try to make me look like a violent, paranoid schizo, and it's a setup to try to get me to snap no matter what it takes with the judicial system to make it look like I'm a violent, paranoid schizo and running around just hitting people and beating people up for no reason in an anger and rage, and I'm unstable, and the same exact lies my family started at 5 years old. Kevin's a violent, paranoid schizo, right? Okay, so that being said, we're now back to the Kevin is a danger to himself or others. There you go. That is the entire equation since 5 years old. We're having you watch the movie Wizards and then trying to use street theater to reenact parts from the movie out to try to make it look like you conform to movies, sorry, I had like a burp, to flip me out, to get these reactions. Then it switches to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and it's been going on for 40 years, all day and night, by worldwide support, right? Okay, so why do they want the reaction? Well, it's just rid this guy of the world. We don't like him. We had this 5-year-old, let's off him, right? He's not the kid we wanted. I'm going to take a quick break, and actually I need gas. As Paul Humphrey would say, go-go juice, and most likely he said that for other reasons other than just joking around about gasoline, probably hinting that I somehow was trying to get rid of 2 people since when the 2017 arrests started. Paul Humphrey, or the detective Angela Snort, kept saying bye-bye, and then notified every attorney and lawyer, paralegal, and secretary at law offices worldwide to mimic bye-bye over and over until they can lock me away and rid me of the world. So the question is, when Paul Humphrey, who was sent after me at 14, right before my family got divorced, or right after my family got divorced, most likely what Paul Humphrey is saying with my family is somehow it's my fault my mother and father got divorced, trying to shirk all responsibility of their actions on me, right? So my family, my mother and father get divorced and they can't deal with their adult decisions, so they need to pin their anger on me to feel good about themselves, telling the world and cops that I somehow sabotaged their relationships or something, which I did a whole segment on before. Then going off, getting divorced, living the life, and saying it's Kevin's fault, and their anger and rage towards me because they're just angry, bitter, paranoid, psychotic murderers, whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to get some gas and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my family and trying to force me into therapy my entire life to fix me. Now, first, you've heard me talking about, starting at 5 years old, these operations that constantly set me up and provoke me into reactions to use against me I'm now 46 years old. It hasn't stopped, and it's now worldwide. To set me up, to make me look like a violent, paranoid schizo, and never stopping ever until they get what they want to lock me away or get me to kill myself or whatever, then telling the world that I snapped and I'm crazy and this and that, blah, blah, blah. With the government, with billions of government dollars, with the entire psychology community. Okay, well now I want to go back and I want to talk about my family spending their entire life trying to force me into therapy. Because we're talking about complete inconsistency here, right? If you want a kid to have a good life, you don't follow them around trying to fuck them up and then say, go get help, right? While still trying to fuck him up more and more until he's dead and gone. You know, ratcheting down over and over until you keep snapping someone or trying to break them or do this to them or that to them, and at the same time saying get help because I want you to have a good life. The whole concept of following someone around, abusing them to death, isn't because someone wants them to have a good life. And I find it hard to believe that my family and the police government are doing all this so that I can have a good life when I had no concept of anything at 29. I was out living my life to find out that at 29, met with Mike Huntley. We're using the system against you. You're a dead man. We're going to rid you of the world. I've given you enough rope to hang yourself with. Does not sound like the statement of people working with my family who want me to have a good, healthy life and thrive and have friends and relationships and make money are not the types of things people say. Mike Huntley, I exerted I'm translating this for you. Mike Huntley, I exerted 25 years of my life to lock you away in jail cells, mental institutions, have you killed. I'm telling you that because you associated with girls with tattoos, silicone implants, strippers, porn stars, waitresses at pool halls, whatever, that's unacceptable and you need to die. But also I want you to have a good life provided that you do exactly what I say, date who I tell you to date, eat the food I tell you to eat, sleep when I tell you to sleep, have the hobbies I tell you to have, blah, blah, blah. Other than that, it's an unhealthy life for you. Well, that isn't. The only thing unhealthy about life is someone trying to dictate someone else's life and convert them into what you want them to be. Example, I want you to be a devout Jew who marries a Jewish girl and goes to a temple every Saturday. And if you don't do that, we're going to hunt you and kill you. Has nothing to do with healthy lives or people wanting you to have healthy lives. It has to do with people telling you what you had better do or they're going to kill you. So what does that have to do with psychology, being healthy, taking responsibility for your life, you name it? Nothing. And that's my point. Well, I got to stop the camera because I'm going to wash my car, and I got to wash all the Coke or whatever someone threw on it, because usually they spit on my car, they throw drinks on my car, they slash the top, they slash the tires, they throw cat food and cat litter and cat shit on my car, all because, remember, these people want me to have a good life. That's why they're doing it, right? Well, no, that's people like Greg Koenig in unit number 2, who was told and most likely paid off by my father or Lorena Escobar or my mother, telling me what I can and can't do, and he would ask me questions like how I ever smoked weed and then come after me and things like this, which all linked straight back to my family and police. Okay? Well, things that don't normally happen and things that people don't normally care about. Also, I just pulled up to the car wash and it appears a guy sitting in a gray Mercedes waiting for me backwards, and I haven't turned off my engine or lights, and so he got mad and he just turned on his lights, pointed in my direction. showing that it looks like he was kind of waiting for me. Now, how do they know each and every place I go? Well, that's a complex answer, and it's not necessarily that they know. They kind of profile. For example, if my car's really dirty, oh, now he just turned off his lights, so he turned them on and off for no reason other than I'm here. You know, if I walk out of my car this morning and I take pictures of the Coca-Cola all over the side, the big sticky thing over the windows and whatever, someone's gonna jump to the conclusion that he's probably gonna go wash his car. Therefore, people go to all the car washes waiting for me, right? And mass citywide groups. Anyways, I'm going to stop this while I wash my car. So, okay, I washed my car, and I'm always too much in a hurry to dry it, so I just let it drip dry, but whatever. It's an old crappy car anyways. Total value of my car right now, I think, is like $3,500 tops, right? So it's a 2008 Mitsubishi Eclipse, which I love the car, but you know, it ain't nothing special here. But so anyways, yeah, and so it's a black guy waiting for me in a Mercedes, shining his lights on me, trying to intimidate me. Oh, my lights, speaking of which. Okay, so what the hell was I talking about? Because it was a very important topic. It was, also all the cars in the parking lot also have no plates on them, although this Corvette is really cool and new. They're also both black. That is a new car, but anyways, let's see, what was I talking about? The psychology. I gotta figure out what the hell I was talking about, because I can't remember. Okay, so I was talking about the scam of my family with the psychology community, and my family with their psychology degrees, how they want me to have a good life, which is really their ideal of me having a good life is like the mother in the movie Carrie, locking her kid in the closet, right? They don't want me to have a good life. They want me to have their life, or the life that they choose for me, or else. Or Elsie Sandoval, right? One of my father's office managers he sent after me, that worked below Lorena Escobar, right? But at no point does my family want me to have any type of life other than what they dictate, and there's full police and government support with NSA, FBI, which really doesn't make much sense. But remember, it all starts with the he's a danger to himself or others package tactic to control and dictate what I can and can't do on the most minute level, right? Now, I don't feel like debating to try to get some kind of solid answer on my family's thought process when I was 5 years old, because I'm not going to get that answer unless they specifically, in an honest conversation that makes sense, speak to me about why they're doing this. I'll never have this answer, so I can't specifically tell you a black and white, one sentence answer to why they've launched worldwide campaigns to eradicate me with the entire psychology community, please NSA, FBI. But what I will say is my entire life, they saw that I was different from them, which means nothing. Remember, this key word, different from them. Not different from the world, different from them. In other words, they're all doctors with secondary control freak psychotics and doctors with secondary psychology degrees, and my father's an orthopedic surgeon. They're all MDs. Well, not only do I have the mental aptitude to become a doctor. So that would be impossible anyways. But because I'm different than that, now remember, we all come, we're all born from different places, different cities, different families, different family values with different customs and this and that, and everyone's different. Suppose Adriana Oliveira is one of the psychos sent after me that I was supposed to like marry and have kids with, or I'd be hunted and killed with worldwide support, which I saw the signs of her control issues. Didn't work. Was a Hispanic girl which lived in a tiny little apartment with like 10 people, right? Like her aunts and her mother, her aunts, her brother, and they're all crammed in like sardines, right? Okay? Other people will make jokes that you live with your mother or this or that, right? Whatever. So what I'm saying is different cultures or people from different areas or different families in the same area all have different belief systems and are different. Now, yeah, we all have the same common morals like thou shalt not kill, or then there's a problem with committing crimes of murder and things like this. But my point is that everyone is fundamentally different from everyone else. That's why when you date a girl or go out dating, you keep trying to meet people who until one clicks, right? And so that's the point, is that I'm told that I'm crazy for trying to meet people that I relate to that aren't part of this terror operation, or just decent people that have common interests that they want to share and build lives on, right? Now, why is that being done? That's being done because my family wants to dictate my life and who I'm with. But anyways, so now, with that in mind, remember my family's argument is that they want me to have a good life, except what they're really saying in the between the lines is, we want you to have a good life that we dictate for you, or we're going to lock you away in jail cells or mental institutions, and you do what we tell you or else, right? And that's what it really comes down to, except I've never personally heard of a situation where the cops are running around saying, yeah, you date who we tell you or we're going to rid you of the world. I've never heard of anything like that, right? And worldwide. We're not talking some local area paid off cop. We're talking every person and police resource known to man on this planet. So, for example, if I don't date Adriana Olivares, people in India and Russia that I hire for programming, Japan, Ukraine, wherever, are all going to take turns in an angry rage because I'm not dating Adriana Olivares. Doesn't really add up too well, other than we're just going to try to just terrorize you until you just go crazy and die or something really bad happens. But I'm not going to try to understand that from a standpoint of solidity. In example, back to that one sentence, this is why. Well, it can't really be answered. I mean, maybe it's my family just jumps from thing to thing they don't like, trying to hunt me down and kill me until I do what they say. I mean, I can't tell you, right? And they do that by sabotaging my name worldwide. Kevin kissed a black girl at 8 years old. Kevin's a white supremacist and a racist, and that stops me from dating other cultures or races by poisoning the well, right? And if they jump from thing to thing, oh, now we don't like Kevin playing pool, doing the same thing, and now we don't like Kevin in studio photography, same thing. It just riles up the masses to hunt you down and kill you. It's hard to say. But what I can say, back to the topic, is that my entire life, my mother and father wanted me to get therapy. Okay. But isn't that like counterproductive? We're an abusive family who do horrible things to our child, but we want you to get help so that you have a good life. Okay? And my entire life was my family trying to squeeze frickin' lemonade from a rock. Right? Example, I never went to my family saying, Mom, I have a problem, I want to kill myself, and I'm a violent, paranoid schizo, or anything like this. I was always happy and content, and out being productive and trying to do things with my life and this and that. Even at a young age, I was always positive, innovative, like at, I don't even know, like 8 years old, putting Star Wars X-Wing fighters on monofilament and videoing them sliding down strings and things like this, okay? I don't recall being some depressed, angry, pissed off kid. But what I do remember is my mother kept forcing me into therapy after therapy, and finally me getting upset. They're like, why do you keep, and obviously at a young age you can't format your thoughts like this because you don't understand from a grown-up's perspective, but why do you keep forcing me in to therapy and try to force me to talk to people over and over, right? That was like my thoughts when I was a kid. Like, why do I have to go to therapy, and what is it that you want me to say, right? But you can't really say that. You're not thinking on that level when you're a young kid, right? I mean, so they want to create a problem, and then they want to fix the problem that they're creating instead of leaving me alone and letting me live my life, right? And so, right? So the question is, if they're not following around stalking me and trying to fix me by bashing my skull in with a crowbar over and over 100 times per day, then there's no problem, right? And then, while you're bashing someone's skull in with a crowbar, baseball bat, or whatever, say go to therapy and talk about your problems, but you're not allowed to mention any of the things we're doing to your life, is kind of counterproductive. Is counterproductive to trying to give someone a good life, right? So they're their own worst enemy, but more important than that, they're creating all the problems for me. And the question is, there's a point where things get completely obvious, right? Where I prove to them on video that, look, these people are threatening my life and this and that. Oh yeah, that doesn't matter. Go get help. Well, if people weren't hunting me down like Mike Huntley for the first 14 years to 29, that's 25, around 25 years, right? 14 years to 29, and at 29, my life does a 180. Here we have another guy pulled off his plates, not even, okay, so 29, whatever, 25 to 80, 14 to 29, Mike Huntley sent after me to dictate my life, hunt me down, stalk me. At the end of 29, we're using the system against you. I've given you enough rope to hang yourself for doing absolutely nothing wrong, except Mike Huntley introducing me to Melody the stripper at 14 for me to bounce at her couple of parties, things that nobody could care less about, then saying I've given you enough rope to hang yourself with, and you need to go to therapy. Of course, you need to go to therapy, but of course, what am I supposed to say to the therapist? I like hot bitches with big tits, right? What guy doesn't? What guy does not like some hot girl with huge silicone tits that gets nasty? Now, I'm here to tell you that every fucking guy likes that, unless they're gay. Every guy likes that, okay? They might not admit it. They might go to their cotillion or whatever, or be afraid to say it to their mainstream, whatever. They're perfectly normal mainstream golf club friends or whatever. But I can assure you that that guy that is afraid to say it likes it, right? So my point is that what is therapy going to do? Hey, you're going to go to therapy. What am I going to say? Well, you went to a lot of strip clubs because Rhodey and 3 other people told you to go to strip clubs. So Kevin, come with me and let's go to strip clubs from the age 20 to 30. Okay? And now I'm going to go to therapy. And what am I going to tell the therapist? I'm a horrible monster and depressed because I like hot chicks who get nasty, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, well, every guy likes that. That's the point. And then they're going to turn it into something else. Oh, they're going to do what they did. Well, because you associated with a lot of strippers or you built adult websites, therefore you hate women. Going from one tangent to the other. What does that have to do with the tea in China, right? What does building adult websites have to do with hating women or being angry? That's like saying, I took a hot air balloon ride, so I want to kill everyone on the planet, right? There is no logical, factual basis other than some loony formulating things from thin air that don't make any sense at all, any way, shape, form, known to man. Right? So, once again, what are we talking about? Well, a family that wants to fix me by ridding me of the world because I'm not like them. Right? Okay, so when do these signs of Kevin thinks for himself start? Well, they start at a young age. I can't, it's so hard to, I talked about building RC cars piece by piece, which is what you did at 13 or 12, maybe 11. Before that, I was building those little plastic models with glue, which nobody does anymore. A little before that, so that's 9, 10. And something in them, I bought the piece of crap. I built the hot rods and cheapo piece of shit cars in high school when everyone was out buying BMWs, trying to look special, right? And I was more about substance and depth. And so I can't imagine a family getting mad about that. I would think a family would be happy, but because the first thought that went through my head wasn't, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon like my daddy, and I'm going to get a secondary psychology degree so I can torture animals and my children. Because they saw something different than that, they got mad. Now, how does that link to all these random strangers worldwide? I don't know. Because let me tell you, if I grew up in Hidden Hills and Calabasas and I wanted to be an auto mechanic, which is totally blue collar compared to my family's white collar background, then while it's a little off, and that's not what I wanted to do for a living, but while it's a little off, that's not going to piss people off. For example, all the mechanics in the world aren't going to say we need to hunt down and kill Kevin Perlman because he was born in Hidden Hills and he wants to become a car mechanic, even though everyone in the white collar world wants to become lawyers and doctors, right? That's not the type of thing that pisses off mechanics worldwide, if you get my point, or people in the adult industry, or more important, people in Hollywood, which do have lots of middle or upper class people, right? So it doesn't really make much sense why these people are so angry at me. Hence why it's more about something they accuse me of at my early childhood. So what are they doing by constantly trying to force me into therapy? Well, you got both things going on. You constantly got the attacks, right? We're going to try to make you look like you're angry. We're going to make you look like you're full of anger and rage. We're trying to get you to act out, lash out. We're trying to get you to punch and hit strangers and things like this. We're labeling you as a violent, paranoid schizo. At the same time, they're throwing these labels which aren't true. They're telling me to go see therapists. And I'm a danger to myself or others, right? Now, you try to tell the therapist what's going on. The therapist says you don't talk or I kill you. And people start showing up with the therapist threatening your life. If you talk, we're going to kill you. Okay, so wait. If you want me to go see a therapist to be healthy, but I'm not allowed to talk to the therapist and tell them what's going on, and people are attacking me, and people are trying to make me look like I'm violent, paranoid, schizo, or you can have people threaten my life, that I'm a snitch and I'm dead, and things like that. What is the reason that they want, what is the reason that they want me to go to therapy? Well, they want me to go to therapy so that the psychologist or psychiatrist can be paid off to throw bunk psychological labels on me, to remove me from society or incarcerate me for life for the crime of being born and being different than my family. Okay? And when I say different, like I said before, I'm not talking about you or the next person. I'm talking about my family. Right? Example, if I were to be a car mechanic, chose to be a car mechanic, other car mechanics shouldn't get mad. They'd say, cool. If I choose to be a studio photographer, who gives a shit? Nobody's going to care except my family. Right? So my family, is playing this, like, whatever you want to call it, like they called it, the skull fucking game or whatever, right? They're playing this game like, we want you to get help, but the real reason is to set you up, to throw bunk labels on you, to make you look crazy, to lock you away for the crime of being different. Hence, all coming back to their leverage play from 5 years old. He's a danger to himself or others. The only card they can really play with the judicial system. Why is the judicial system helping? I don't know. Because I've had a clean record my entire life. Doesn't make sense. If I was a violent guy, there would be a line of endless women beat up and things like that, which has never happened to anyone. Right? I would have conviction after conviction. Things like this. Right? But you're talking to a guy with a clean record that has put up and tolerated beyond any level of endless abuse known to man, unprecedented, and they still have not gotten the reaction they wanted despite Sean Dinsey's illegal setup and frame job operations and false convictions. All they've proven is that they've gotten so desperate in the end that they had to make up lies because they never could succeed in setting me up. Okay, so that is my punishment for the crime of being different than my family. Okay, now, why would you want to be like the Perlman family? I don't care who you are a better person than the Perlman family. I don't care if you've been in porn and you fucked 100,000 guys. You are most likely, your moral structure is probably way above the Perlman family. Me excluded, by the way. Because just because you're a porn star or a stripper or a lawyer or a cow herder or a nun, whatever, I can guarantee that that my family is the worst of the worst. They have zero morals, zero ethics. They are horrific people. They do not stand for right, wrong, open-minded, people getting together, communities. They are none of that. I am the only one. I may be different, okay? I may have been a 16-year-old in rich boy neighborhood that built cars, but that has nothing to do with good or bad. That has to do with just someone being a person and doing what they want to do in life, and nobody's getting hurt. I have passion. I build things, I create things, and how does that hurt anyone? It doesn't. And so the point is that they're not angry at anything I've done wrong. They're angry that I'm different than them. And it's like I said, why would you want to be like that? Like if I had a child, I wouldn't hunt the kid down saying, you're different than me, so I'm going to rid you of the world with every resource known to man and make you look like a violent, paranoid schizo and lock you away in jail cells and mental institutions while being ashamed of you being a really good, decent person and open-minded. I can't conceive of a family like that. It's hard for me to believe that families like mine even exist. That that's the type of thing that would be done to someone for simply just going out and trying to do something with their lives, right? And so, so to sum it up, it's kind of like, hey, we have a kid, we have a kid. Sorry, I'm documenting what they're doing on my streets. Like there's two pickups right there. They have the red cars together tactics amped up. So, anyways, you can kind of look at it like this. Hey, the Perlman family had a child. That child, showed that they were different and thought for himself, kind of like a lot of cultures back in history where someone actually thinks for themselves and shows that they're not a stupid, controlled robot. My family got mad, and so in order to control me and for them to get what they want and dictate my life, they start making up the psychology lies with their psychology degrees that I'm a violent, paranoid schizo, then trying to force me into therapy to get false confessions, coerced false confessions they couldn't get. That goes on for 40 years where they're still trying to get me to go to psychologists to tell them what they want to hear. I don't know what they want to hear, right? Because if I come up to you and I tell you that I don't want you being I don't want you getting into studio photography with hot women, and so you need to go to psychologists and tell them what's wrong with you because you're not a doctor. What answer are you going to give? My family's crazy, they won't leave me alone, right? For example, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? Okay, so my point obviously is that what am I supposed to tell us? Okay, so anyways, I've given you the rundown probably over and over, and it's a little fragmented now because I'm jumping from thing to thing, but to sum it up, hey, you have a problem because you're not like us. We're gonna keep having people worldwide attack you, try to make you look like a violent, paranoid schizo, and rid you of the world. And before and after in your entire life, you have to go to therapy and tell them what's wrong. And when you tell them, look, people are stalking me, they won't leave me alone, they're provoking me to try to lock me in jail and mental institutions, They say you're not allowed to talk about that and it's not happening. Okay, so what am I supposed to tell a psychiatrist, right? Do I tell them that I like eggs? I like pretty orange and green skies? I mean, what am I supposed to say? Well, what they want me to say is this traumatic event happened and that's why I'm fucked up and different and this and that. But the reality of the situation is people who think for themselves generally do what they want to do outside the scope of their surroundings, right? Mark Zuckerberg, if he didn't think outside the box, Facebook would never exist. And whoever, the guy that invented MySpace or all these social places or even restaurants, Johnny Rockets or whatever, if they were told that they had to do what their family profession was, wouldn't the outcome be that you're not allowed to think for yourself and do anything with your life and you have to date the girl we gave you and this and that? And capitalism would never exist because capitalism is built on originality and people thinking for themselves, supply and demand and services that are unique, different, or better than the others, right? And to take that out of the life equation says what? You're not allowed to do anything but what we tell you, right? So, and if I, Kevin Perlman, don't do what I'm told, then they try to make me look like a violent, paranoid schizo, especially after 18 years old. Being that I'm 46 now, and every day of my life, I have worldwide groups saying that you're not allowed to go to coffee shops. You're not allowed to leave your house. You're not allowed to go to restaurants. You're not allowed to associate with that girl because she has tattoos. I'm 46 years old. Okay? The whole concept of you're out of control because you talk to a girl with tattoos not only does not have anything to do with out of control. It might, like I said in the beginning, it might look out of control to a psychotic murdering control freak that needs that control, but that's perfectly normal. So, whose perspective are we talking about? The mob boss, you do what we say or I blow your fucking brains out guy? Right? Well, that's my family with their psychology degrees. Okay, so I think I've kind of talked this topic to death, and I'm going to end it here. Go home. It's 10 o'clock. I left Thousand Oaks about 6, so I don't know how long this is. I don't think it's that long because there were a lot of cuts in between, but I thought it was very important to expose the leverage play of the psychology community and my family with their danger to himself or others, which obviously my family learned when I was very young, 5 years old, about psychology, and used that as a weapon against me for them to try to get what they want from me and mold me and dictate my life into what they want it to be, who they want me to date, if I don't choose the career, marry and have kids with the girl I'm demanded I have, it's or else we exterminate you, rid you of the world with worldwide support, which is completely unacceptable. Okay, nobody should be forced into liking a girl they're not interested in. No one should be forced into doing anything they don't want to do. And I'm not going to say that life is that simple and everyone has a fluffy life where they have choices their entire life, but what I am going to say is that most people have enough choices to keep themselves safe and alive. And to tell someone you date and be with a girl or we're going to hunt you and kill you that is abusive, that is not healthy or safe for someone. Those are violent situations. To tell someone this is what you have to do for a living, while they on the side start side businesses or try to do different things, and people are contacted to torture them to death, like was done to me, is not healthy. To try to lock you into that position. It's one thing if you don't want to leave in depression or something, which is not the case on me, but it's another to say you do what we say or we kill you, or make you look like you're manic, and then try to lock you in jail cells, mental institutions, dirty up your name, and then say this guy has problems and I want control over him, right? I want custody of him, I want control over him, I want power of attorney, you name it, or pretty much violent situations, not on a physically violent level, but on a situation that riles up, creates problems that could easily go south, and create... I'm not saying I've done anything wrong or violent, but what I am saying is that those are the types of situations, trying to lock someone in and force people into things, are situations that end badly, right? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And that's why people generally frown upon holding guns to your head and saying, you do this for a living, or things like that, and then tell you that this is how life is, and if you don't, we're going to lock you away. Okay, now, I wasn't born in the mafia, and this isn't a mafia situation, but I can tell you that if you're born in the mafia, you might get a bullet in the head if you walked away from the family or something. But people aren't going to get together and psychologically torture you to death and tell you this is what you have to do, right? And so that's where it differs, where the situations are completely different, because this is unheard of. There are worldwide people telling me this is what you do, or we kill you, or just try to kill me anyways, or whatever, and it is completely unheard of. And in the end, it's all about how can we lock this guy away, make him look crazy, and things like that. Based on that, he's a danger to himself or others, and he's a violent paranoid schizo, or creating that illusion by having worldwide groups passive-aggressively provoke me with these paranoid schizo, gang stalking, and gaslighting tactics. So anyway, you can do the math on that one, and what the real motive is, which is pretty much, at this point, after 29 and me finding out, to just off me for what I know, and I'll just sum it up as there because this is full, remember, this is full police, NSA, FBI, and worldwide support involvement in doing these things to my life, and it's not just one psychopath police officer paid off by my family. There is literally worldwide support, 100,000 to 1 million attacks per day worldwide directed at me, probably a lot more. And how does someone even accomplish like that in the name of you do what we say or whatever? I can't tell you, but what I can tell you is it's on the equivalent of Adolf Hitler turning a country against the minority races and cultures like Judaism, based on his fucking banter about inferior races, and lots of people actually believing the stupidity, which is like over my head, right? It's like, how do you even tell someone shit like that? And while those situations get complex, from hierarchies of power to people just believe the stupidity, and a lot of people not wanting to do it, but they're forced into the situation, being in the government, or they get killed. Those are complex situations. While this situation is completely different, it's still, you still have to question the psychology behind the manipulation and how the people are being told against me based on people with authority and people in the psychology community to make them think that they're doing something for the greater good with the judicial system, when the judicial system is tooling them and making them look like ass puppets and using them to commit crimes so the cops can sit back and shovel food in their mouth and be fat and happy while telling morons to be part of these neighborhood stalking watch groups and hunt down and kill people, right? So anyways, I'll leave it at that until next segment.